bring you tea. It's okay. We'll learn. So we hold it's Likutey Moharan II Aleph, second Chelek. We are holding by Seif Yud. We said that when a person holds by Dvar Hashem, the tefillah, his tefillah has been rescued, was delivered through the process that we spoke. Yizarcha to Yir Shlema overcomes all the different things that prevent Yir Shlema, which are the three midos of Tavis Moment, Tavis Achila, Tavis Noshim, that skew the Yir Shemayim. When Yizarcha to a full, clear Yir Shemayim, that creates an angel that bestows prophecy. Everybody says, even though we don't have anyone who can prophesize these days, nevertheless, there's a spirit of prophecy in the world. And when there's a spirit of prophecy in the world, what happens is that the tefillah comes out of its covering. What happens is that we are in a state where the Kodesh Baruch Hu is hidden from us. And we have one portal to connect with the Kodesh Baruch Hu and reveal His Malchus to us here inside the Astorah of this world. And that's tefillah. You ask the Kodesh Baruch Hu answers you. Okay, now you know. Anything else, is open to interpretation. This happened because of this, and this happened because of that. In other words, you have to quote unquote, like go with blind faith. You have to close your eyes. Okay, that's Kodesh Baruch Hu, Kolma, David, Rachmon, Tava, everything Kodesh Baruch Hu does is good, and just go with that. There is one tool that can make Kodesh Baruch Hu clearly evident to you in this world. That's tefillah. If a person knows,
how can it be evident?
When you ask a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu gives it to you, it says in Torah Beis Chelek Aleph that the tefillah is Pchiras Pishnai. It's like B'choira. It says because the firstborn child, why does he get twice in the Yerusha more than his brothers? The answer is that until he was born, his mother didn't have a definition, a gather of Yoledis. She wasn't a mother in him. She wasn't a mother yet. Now that she gave birth to him, she's established as a mother. Now, all the brothers that come after him are basically, okay, so that's another. But the first child is the first child, and anybody who's married knows that the same way that there is huge dichotomy before a person gets married and after a person gets married. The same way, before a person has a child and after a person has the first child, it's a totally different mitzvah. My father-in-law, Shalom, told me before my first son was born, he said, any and all your ideas about how it is to have children are going to fly right out of the window the very second your child is born. Your first child is born. You know, it's everybody has theories from here to Timbuktu. You know, you need to do this with children, you need to do this, and do this. You know everything until you have children. Suddenly it's a, suddenly it's a whole different kind of, even then you don't know, but you realize different mitzvahs. So this is, so Reb Nosson explained that the same thing applies with tefillah. Before Kodesh Baruch Hu answers your tefillah, it's all very theoretical. Yeah, you daven, Hashem answers you, okay, but the minute that you ask for something, and Kodesh Baruch Hu gives it to you, it's a different reality. So Reb Nosson says that all your subsequent tefillos owe something to the first one that was answered. In other words, when you get into the habit of talking and asking Kodesh Baruch Hu for everything and anything, after a while, it becomes established in your mind that Kodesh Baruch Hu is not a vague, abstract idea, but a Kodesh Baruch Hu is like the most even-keeled, wise, functional father possible. Which means that when a child asks a healthy father, a really healthy father, who's so empowering, loving, self-confident, whatever, for anything, the default answer of such a father to anything that his son is asking him is yes. Unless the correct response would be either no or not yet. But even the no, Rabbeinu says you have to be very careful not to be an aksha, not to be stubborn with your feelings. Because like a child throwing a tantrum, you'll get it. But it's like driving a car with Waze, and he tells you turn left here. And you don't want to turn left here. Okay, so you continue driving straight, let's say. So it tries to correct you. It says the next roundabout, make a U-turn. I don't want. Who are you to tell me what to do? Okay, fine. After a while, it just goes up to, recalculating the route. And it finds, by the way, the shir tonight is the refuah of our friend Moshe ben Chaya. So you should get it for Shlomo B'dat Hashem, healthy. As you can see from the background, we have Ezra Nosson because tonight is the Yortzeit of Reb Nosson downstairs. So probably they're going to come and sit at the table, so they're lying here. Anyhow, so what happens is that, okay, you don't want to go that route, okay? So it draws out a different route. It's still going to take you to the same place. It's going to take longer. And the streets and the roads may not be that, as good or whatever it is. But, you want it. Okay, fine. If you want it, you got it. It's
the other guys are.
What?
I don't know where the other guys are.
Okay, that's maybe didn't get the message or get the email or whatever. So anyhow, so but as you get into the Avodah, even if you're not a person who makes his Avodah every day, an hour a day, if you do that, then you cannot, as it also says, you can't even make a decision without making his Avodah first, because you can't. But even if you don't, you basically, every now and then you make whatever it is, you can make, make an hour, making a few minutes, whatever it is that you can do. You eventually get to a point that you realize that, you are in constant connection with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. You don't find a parking space, you ask for a parking space. You don't have that, you ask for this. You lost something, you go to find it. And you see, you get it, and you get it, and you get it, and you get it. And finally, so what happens is that you get pictured in your mind. The reality is that, yes, whatever you ask Kodesh Baruch Hu, He gives you, unless the answer should be right now either no or not yet. So what do you do when the answer is no? How do you know if it's no or not yet? So you don't know. You don't know. You keep on asking, but you're asking in a it can be, and it should be, with tremendous kavanah, like especially ruchnis bevada, but there's certain situations that call for desperate time, call for desperate measures. You really cry out, but you always, the Bible says, leave an out. Because Baruch Hu, that if He's going to give, fine. If not, not. It should always be an aspect of that in your davening. Personally, the way I go about it is when I have these inyanim, I start by saying, I feel like I really need it. It's really, so I'm going to go full tilt. But I'm doing this whole thing with a t'nai that, I'm not doing an action. If you want, fine. If not, not. But nevertheless, now, let me just go into it. I can't say, people many times get into this cheshboniness with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's just like, if it's good for me, then give it to me. If it's not good for me, don't give it to me. Don't do a Kodesh Baruch Hu's cheshbon. Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't need you to figure out what's good for you, what's not good for you. And if it's good for me, you should give it to me. Not good for me. It's chochmas. Don't do that. You want it, you ask for it. It's a very, very good idea. Very, very good idea. Not to give eitzes to Kodesh Baruch Hu. I need money, and I started a business, and so I need money, so make my business work. How do you know that's the way Kodesh Baruch Hu should give you the money? Maybe you're supposed to get an inheritance from a lost uncle, whatever it is. And the only reason why you need to work on this business is because you need to make a shtadlus, or you have to give parnasa to somebody else, or for whatever reason it is. Ask for what you want. Ask for whatever it is that you want. Don't tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu which way to do it, how to give it to you. But let's say that you did open a business, right? But you needed to work not because you need the money. You needed to work because you need self-confidence.
What?
Self-confidence, self-belief. Because until now, everything that I did, I sooner or later threw a monkey wrench into the wheels, into the spokes of the wheel. Self-sabotage, whatever it is that I do. So as a result, I believe that I'll never make it. If I never make it, whatever it is I do is already a preamble to not making it. So even then, there is an inyan to ask that this business should work because you need it for something else, not because you need it for the money. You need the money, I said that it'll come through something, but you need it for something. You need it for something else. help it to be matzliach, help it, whatever, but ask for whatever it is that you want, the final result that you want. This is what you should ask. But the thing is that the nekuda that is negate to what we're talking about is that it's the very same way that when people get away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives them the point of view that everything is happenstance, everything is coincidence, everything is luck, everything is this, everything is that, or
hard work,
or whatever the false dimion is. If you go that route, Kodesh Baruch Hu will go with you that route. Kodesh Baruch Hu says in the Chumash, and you went, if you were to go with me bekeri, like a mikra, like a coincidence, and I will give you all the proof that you need that it is a coincidence. And it says, and if you will continue doing that, he says, I will continue with the bechamas carry, with a raging coincidence. But if you go
wait, that's not the pashat of the. It's a raging anger or something, no?
No, bechamas carry. Bechamas carry.
You say everything is happenstance.
If you are forming your mind,
mean anger,
your outlook.
Doesn't it mean anger?
Yeah, it means anger.
You do bad things, I'm gonna do.
No, but what it means is that when a person, everything that the person does, that's why we say over there, Rebbe says over here, these three midas, taivas achila, taivas moment, taivas noshim, skew the Yir Shemayim. Why? Because they blind you. How do they blind? They formulate your way of looking at things, in a way that is, self-serving. I have to eat something. Of course I have to eat, So I might as well, why did you go to the hot dog eating contest? I mean, I gotta eat, right? You gotta eat, but not 100 hot dogs. You have to have children, yeah, but yeah, definitely be Biktusha, so forth and so on. Everything is because when a person blinds himself, or when a person cheats himself, he's actually not cheating anybody except for himself. He's only cheating himself. It's not only cheating himself, but he's causing, you see, the thing is, I find it difficult to have the proper words to explain this, but you see the world out of your own eyes, okay? And the way you perceive, this is too much. This is not enough. This is just right. You get a Goldilocks kind of reality. This is too big, this is too small, this is just right. This is too hot, this is too cold, this is just right. In other words, you're creating your own world, your own point of view. I mean, we talk about that. There are actually people here in this country who have serious discussions claiming that the prime minister of this country doesn't want the hostages to come back in order to prolong his whatever. Are you serious? Are you serious?
But it's a point of view.
But being that everybody talks about it and somebody suggests it and they're intelligent people and they keep on talking about it, so something maybe there's politicians definitely want to stay and whatever it is. So he couldn't possibly have it in mind that releasing hostages means releasing the terrorists. Last time they did it for one guy, was it Gilad Shalit, right? They gave over 1,000 people, and Yehia Sinwar was one of them. And we had what we have now, besides all the barrages and all the rockets and everything, all the years, October 7th happens because of this, okay? Just get him home, get him home, get him home. So, by the way, I was told yesterday by a friend of mine that one of those guys that lead the protests, bring the real reason. So the real reason why they pressure him, they go with the demonstrations, is because they want the prime minister, they want Netanyahu to get off the seat, to give it over, to stop being a prime. That's why they go with all the trials and everything. They're trying to bring him down. Like Trump, same thing. So they asked this guy, if I were to give you two options, which one would you choose? Get back the hostages or Netanyahu resigning? Resigning. Which would you choose? And he couldn't answer.
What?
He couldn't answer. He was stumped. If you really have the hostages in mind, what do you mean? Of course the hostages. If it's a question already, so the safety of the entire country is not get the hostages as opposed to the safety of the entire country, it doesn't matter. The point is that people form their own point of view, the way they see the world. If it's a world of mikra, it's a world of happenstance, of luck, of shucks, it didn't work out. How can it happen? Blah, 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 blah.
It's survival of the fittest, like the people who
Oh,
are
yeah.
the strongest are the most hungry.
Right. But the thing is that every single decision that you make builds the way that you perceive the world. If the decisions are self-serving continuously, it warps their entire thinking into a world. Well, it's happenstance because you don't always get what you want, right? So there's not, but I don't even want to say the words, okay? But it also works the other way around. The more you dive into a Kodesh Baruch, the more patient you are. It builds you, because if you go with me, I will show you that I'm with you. So tefillah reveals the Kodesh Baruch. Everything else, Kodesh Baruch Hu does whatever he does is good. You believe it, you do it more, believe it less, whatever. The extent of your emunah, basically dictates the amount of your ishtadlus. The less you believe, the harder you have to work. But the Rabbeinu said there's a tzaddik that is a Pchinas Shabbos, he's even not allowed to work. All these days is Pchinas Shabbos. Lo chashuv. The kitzer, so we say, what does it mean? The union of tefillah becomes free. Tefillah becomes your number one default option when there is a spirit of nevuah in the world. What is the spirit of nevuah? Nobody receives prophecy. But prophecy means that emunah and knowing become one.
And
Knowing.
that's prophecy.
Prophecy is when knowledge and faith become one. As Yecheskel said, "V'niftechu hashamayim," and the heavens were opened, "V'ar'eh ma'aros elokim," and I saw godly sights. "V'niftechu hashamayim v'ar'eh ma'aros elokim." The Nosson says, "Rashatevas emunah." When your emunah is proper and complete, you get a vision. When on Har Sinai there was, the sights, and the sounds. People saw Hashem, and the people heard Hashem. What's the difference between seeing and hearing? Seeing is knowing.
They saw Hashem?
Yeah. This game, they saw, they ate and they drank, and they say they saw Kadosh Baruch Hu, and underneath his feet is Kebas and Livnus Asapri, a brick of sapphire stone. Obviously, each one of them saw to their level, but they say that from the sight of Hashem, their neshamas, they all died, and they had to resuscitate it, and they kept on resuscitating, and they sprang backwards, and the malachim had to bring him back. It was shocking. They saw it's the presence of Hashem was. All the people saw Hashem, and they heard Anochi Hashem Elokecha. The first two commandments they heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mamish. And then it says, V'kol ha'am ro'im et hakolot, and the entire nation see the sounds. How can you see a sound? What's the difference between seeing and hearing? As we said, seeing is knowing. Hearing is you believe the thing that you hear. There could be, we can hear a lion roaring from the other side of the wall here. So we can get down because there's a lion by the doorstep. We can go down there. There's a lion there. How do you know? Maybe there's somebody has a very powerful music system, the recording of a lion roaring. You don't know which is which. Why? Because you don't see the lion. You hear it. B'chlal, sound is not, you don't hear that thing. You hear, that whatever makes the sound, either speech or musical instrument or whatever it is, as it hits the air, and that air hits the other air, and it creates waves until it hits the ear. And when it hits the ear, the brain already, deprograms, and makes it into sounds again. But you don't hear that sound that he said. You're an evidence of that sound, but you believe it. So hearing means believing. Seeing is knowing. You don't need to believe it. I'm here. You look at me, I'm here. So seeing is knowing. Hearing is believing. When you wrap the two together,
why is hearing knowing?
What? Hearing is not knowing. Hearing is believing. Because that's what Rabbeinu says in Torah Chaf Aleph. Then he says that the Doznaim is Emunas Chachamim. It's Emunah. It's Pchinas Emunah. You hear what you say and you believe it. You can't see it. Only after what? When it comes, sorry, Louis, we made the share earlier today. Didn't you receive the email? Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't call you. We're in the middle of the share.
Come anyway.
Come anyway because there's a Suda here tonight. For Reb Nosson.
It's going to be in Hebrew.
We made it 6:45. I'm sorry.
I want to come in.
But come anyway.
We're here.
Okay. Doesn't matter, but there's going to be a Suda here.
And speakers.
And speakers and everything, all good stuff.
Music.
Okay.
I don't know.
Speakers.
Maybe you're going to speak. I don't know.
No, I'm not going to be here.
Where are you going?
I've Koilon.
Okay.
I've Koilon, then I have another Suda that I go to.
What?
I have another Suda that I go to.
Where? It's after?
What?
It's after. It's later?
After the Koilon.
It's later tonight. This is
Anyhow, so I'm sorry. I apologize. In the middle of a year, I just took up the phone. But usually I give him a ride,
Yeah.
and it was too late to give him a call. I should have called him and asked him if he wants me to pick him up. Anyhow, so when Am Yisrael, when Hashem revealed himself to them on Har Sinai, what happened was that the Yediyah and the Munah became one thing. Because what happened was when the Hashem revealing himself was Nevuah. That's why the Chumash describes it as, and the entire nation, all the people, see the sounds. They know that what they believe in is factual. That's Nevuah. So Mimela, when there is a Ruach of Nevuah, there's a Shpar of Ruach Nevuah in the world, automatically Tefillah becomes free. Tefillah is, you know, Kadosh Baruch Hu listens to you. You know he hears you. Maybe you get frustrated. Maybe you get frustrated that he doesn't answer you. That he doesn't answer what you're asking from him. Maybe whatever it is, but you know he's listening to you, and he answers you. So now, once you're already along that route, that the tefillah is your, your default option. It changes your entire mitzvahs. It's also a whole new sugya. How do you behave with them? How do you ask for things? What happens when you see it doesn't happen? So far and so on. But it's like when you go on LinkedIn or wherever it is, everybody and his uncle can tell you how it's done. They're going to give you a course on how to do marketing and how to do this and how to do that. They know everything. The way of Koichelot Seniority has a lot of let me show you how it's done. And how I make $100,000 a month in drop shipping, or the Tefillah also has its own maseches. It has its own guidelines how you behave with Tefillah. But the Maisa, once you behave with Tefillah, what happens is that Rabbeinu says that medicine stops being, ultimately, when somebody has Tefillah completely, Tefillah becomes the answer, because you're holding Dvar Hashem. Dvar Hashem gives refuah to everything. Dvar Hashem is the thing that gives all the medicines, Bechlal, the potency of working altogether. Without Dvar Hashem, they won't work. So this is where we're holding by Seif Yud.
Is his Hispanos considered tefillah according to the way we're discussing it now?
What?
Hispanos, is that considered tefillah?
Is what?
How to say it? Hispanos, meditation.
Hispanos, Evanti. I don't know. I know that this is. I don't know, but I'm not familiar with.
Wait, you said Hisbodedut?
No, Hisbodedus. That's Chabad. It's
Hisbodedus?
It's reflection. Meditating, observing, reflecting. It's a. By us, this is not. Rabbeinu did not teach Hisbodedus. Rabbeinu taught Hisbodedus. And the reason for it is it says.
I'm using the wrong word.
No, Hisbodedus is a derech. Chabad. That's
Hashem.
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the technique, but but I'm having enough trouble with this Vedas. Oh, it's Vedas. Yes, Vedas is the epitome. But Vedas is what Tefillah is about. So
the Rambam says that's the right stuff.
what?
Hitbodedus is to feel the right thing.
Yeah,
The right thing.
that's so loud. There's a window open here or something?
I don't think so.
Yes, I think it is.
They took them off.
Oh, window.
You can't close
Oh,
it.
they took the window out. Okay, so his Vedas, that's the original prayer.
Can you imagine? I still can't say it.
Yeah, before Anshe Knesset Agdoilo, the members of the Great Assembly put together the Nusach of Tefillah with 18 brachas and with every person. The Rambam says every person, what he needed. Yeah, because people had seichel amit, and they asked for what they needed. That's what Gus says, that Rice Sefer Shoftim, the book of Judges, is also called Sefer HaYosher. Sefer HaYosher. That means the book of honesty, of property, of straightforward. What's Yosher? Shoftim, yeah. After Yitzias Mitzrayim, it starts with Yeshua. What?
Sefer Shoftim in the Tanakh.
Yeah.
That is.
Yes, it's called Sefer HaYosher. Why it's called Sefer HaYosher? Because it says in there, in those days, Ein Melech b'Yisrael, there's no king in Am Yisrael. Ish HaYosher be'enov Yaseh. A person does whatever he sees fit, whatever he sees is straight. So usually this is interpreted as everybody, there's no king, everybody does whatever the heck he wants. But Chazal don't mean it that way. They call it Sefer HaYosher means the people at that time, it was right after Moshe and Yeshua. The people had the sense to behave properly. They didn't need a melech. It's only when the generations went lower and lower, then people, they figured that they absolutely need to have a melech. Well, they asked Shmuel Navi, to anoint a king, and Kodesh Baruch Hu was not happy with that. Even though I'm not sure that I understand it completely, because one of the three mitzvahs that Am Yisrael were ordered when they came to Eretz Yisrael, one of them was to appoint a melech. So why is Kodesh Baruch Hu unhappy with the fact that they asked for a melech? I don't know. But whatever it is, this is what happened. So, but the thing is that the Rambam says that Tefillah was the same way. People were well-tempered, and they were, with Sechel Yosher. They knew what to ask. Don't forget, people had paraduma, which means they had a red heifer. So they were not tumah. They were not, they weren't tumah in the defilement of a mace, which means the world was open to them. Spirituality was totally open to them. So whatever they needed, they asked. But after Choben Abayis, the Anshe Knesset Agdoilo, what they did was they put together the Shemona Brachos. Obviously, originally there were 12 Nischoros of Tefillah. There were 12 versions of Shemona Esrei, because each shevet, each tribe, needed its own version, according to how they differ from another tribe. And same way, and Chazal also made a 13th. That 13th nusach is basically what you call a general nusach. If a person, as history, unfurls, and a person doesn't know which shevet he comes from. So what nusach should they use? I mean, you don't know. So Chazal made the nusach hashloishes, the 13th version, which is a nusach koilov. You know, if you don't know which is your shebe, you do the nusach hashloishes, the 13th. That basically yayoitz, no matter which tribe you come from, and that's what we use today. The nusach we have today, you know, even the South, Ashkenaz, whatever, it's all versions of nusach hashloishes, the 13th. It's very interesting. What could have been so different? You know, why? How did you know? What? I don't know. Anyhow, it's a. If I had known, I would have said. I don't know. So remember, the David says, when you're holding the Dvar Hashem, when you're holding tefillah, you know, you're holding within you the power to heal anybody, yourself and anybody else that need to be healed. By the way, I want to tell you that it's a nice and nifla that my son, so gesund, had an organization helping people get married and whatever, and he went with a partner in the organization to America to collect money for it. So while I was there, I mean, they were there, and he and his wife, I think I told the story at least once, or twice, or 3 times. They wanted to have a son, so they were in America. They went to Monsey to meet with people, and once they were there, they went to the Tzir of the Ribnitzer Rebbe. The Ribnitzer Rebbe was very, very special. Very, very special.
This was in Muncie.
Yeah. And so they went to the Tzir and they davened, you know, whatever they did, and also you daven, you know, that you have a son, you have another child, whatever. And then he went down to the car, his partner was still at the Tzir. And the Gabbai, I told you this story before. The Gabbai of the Tzir, you know, he's the brother of how's the name? The singer Lipa Schmelzer. You know the singer Lipa Schmelzer? This is his brother. He's the Gabbai of the. So he knocks on the window of the car where my son is. So he goes around the window, and he asks him for tzedakah for the achzok of the tzir. So he gives him money, and he gave him a disc with maises from the Ribnitzer, whatever. I'm not sure what stories from the Ribnitzer Rebbe. And he says to my son as follows: I'm going to tell you a vote from the Ribnitzer. So he says, the Torah says, "V'rapo yerapo," and heal, he shall heal. V'rapo yerapo. So the Gemara says, from here you see that a doctor has a reshus, has a mandate to treat and heal. The Rapo Yerapo. The Rebbe, by the way, says Rapo Yerapo is Gematria Pidyon. So he says the doctor can heal. Once you get an opinion, then the doctor can heal. You know, let's not get into that. Anyhow, so he says the Rapo Yerapo. He says, but in other place it says Ani Hashem Ofecha. I'm Hashem, your healer. Okay. So what's the difference between Rapo Yerapo and Hashem Rofecha? So the Rebbe says the difference is that Rapo Yerapo, in the pay, you have an exclamation point. Rapo Yerapo. And Hashem Rofecha, Hashem healer Rofecha. The pay is soft. It's an F. It's without a dogesh, without an exclamation point. So it says as follows: it says, when a doctor heals, there's something left behind. There's something still not taken care of. When a Kadosh Baruch Hu heals you, it's completely healed, like it was nothing there at all. At that point, and then he says to my son, B'ezrat Hashem, you have a son this year. The Gabbai of the Rebbe says,
Wow.
so at that point, my son, his phone rings. He answers. His daughter, my granddaughter, his daughter calls him up from Eretz Yisrael, and he said that her brother was hit. He was riding his bike or whatever it is. He was hit by a car, and they came. Atzola came with an ambulance, took him to the hospital. She doesn't know what to do because her mother is, I don't know, in a kind of a meeting. She has a business with her. She in the meeting. What to do? So my son, okay, he heard it. Says, track mommy down. Call her to go to the same. It also was in the same hospital as Moshe. It was there. Shara Tzedek. So immediately he ran up to the Tzion of the Rebbitzin and asked for his son. And by the time he goes back down to the car, his wife calls him up, furious. Why? Furious. Why? Why was I taken out of the meeting? I went to the hospital. They checked him out from top to bottom. There's nothing wrong with him. I wasted the whole day.
It's a funny story.
Ani Hashem Rofecha. Nothing. And that story was told to us in the bris of the son that was born that year. Yeah. So, B'ezrat Hashem, with the schutz of Rabbeinu HaKodesh, and Ani Hashem Rofecha, our friend Moshe ben Chaya will have refuah shleimu, richas yomim B'ezrat Hashem. And all B'ezrat Hashem, everybody in Am Yisrael that needs refuah shleimu, needs health, it needs parnos, it needs everything. Is Ani Hashem Rofecha. There's no pintala, there's no exclamation points left behind. Everything should be B'ezrat Hashem. Toka shleimu. Hashem, tonight is a big night of the Yosef with Nosson Schusat again Aleinu. And tomorrow is a Sorba Tevis, so it's all what people need to understand is all the Yemei Din, all the days of judgment, have the flip coin side of being tremendously mesugal. Tisha B'Av starts from, when it's a din, immediately after said, even in Tisha B'Av, they say, the Neshama of Mashiach, was born on Tisha B'Av by the destruction of the temple. This is when, so B'ezrat Hashem Kodesh Baruch should bring us, Yeshua Shleimu, Geula Shleimu, Be'vias Mashiach Tzidkenu, B'schus Reb Nosson, B'ezrat Hashem Sot Rabbeinu HaKodesh, and the spot of the Bibli said that we just learned. Hashem, B'mehera B'yameinu Amen.
Amen.